friends online kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
Instead of smoking after I ate, I'd get up and take a walk.
I missed having a cigarette in my hand, so I'd hold a pen or a straw, anything.
Until I knew I wouldn't give in to temptation, I spent more time with my friends who didn't smoke.
I went to places that were smoke-free.
I didn't stay quit the very first time I tried.
I kept on trying, and I learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
I quit.
I quit.
I quit.
We did it, so can you.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golic and Wingo. Oh, yeah. To the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at lq.com.
Football season has arrived, and ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF football on Saturdays, and the NFL on Sundays. If you would like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM. WEBY Milton, Pensacola.
It's Saturday, another day of college football. Postseason baseball is only 2 days away. And, of course, the NFL. This is Sports Call. Justin Patrick, welcome to Saturday.
Yeah, my mic's still not on there. But
we're off to a good start, guys.
Yeah, I got a couple games going on. Yeah, it was a long day for me yesterday here. But, yeah, I got a couple games going on. Game days at Ohio State and Nebraska. You also got Texas A&M and Arkansas. We got a couple games. Not the most intriguing games of the week, but we can talk a little bit more about the behind scenes with like coaches and stuff like that. Because people are talking about Jim Harbaugh. His seat's getting a little bit more. Willie Taggart. What can he do to maintain his position there at Florida State? So not really the most intriguing week of games, but we still have some other things to talk about.
We have plenty of to talk about. And, of course, with college football, when it's college football season, we tend to talk a lot about college football because, we have games going on as we're doing the show. Then baseball, especially right now, it's starting to get to the postseason. The postseason slate has already been set. We're going to talk about that actually here in just a moment, but we're going to tease the rest of the show. But one of the topics that I do want to get into later on in this show, and I did a podcast earlier this morning, we talked about Willie Taggart at Florida State and how they got a much-needed win over Louisville last week, and now they have NC State today. It's a night game in Tallahassee. And then it made me think, okay, I like Florida State to win this ball game. I do. So what would it take, and speaking realistically, what would it take for Willie Taggart to keep his job this season? So we're going to be talking about that during this show. But first, I'm going to go ahead and back up. I want to get into baseball. We haven't really talked a whole lot about baseball, especially when football season had begun, because baseball kind of disappears once college football starts. Unless you're a guy that doesn't care for football that much and you only watch baseball, then it's still relevant to you. But for the most part, when college football starts, baseball disappears until the postseason. When the postseason's on, then baseball is back because it's the postseason. But if you're a football fan, baseball virtually disappears once football gets going. But now the playoff schedule has officially been made with the Oakland A's and my Tampa Bay Rays clinching the wild card spots for the American League. And in the National League, there's actually still a race going on right now, but we do know the teams that are in the postseason. That we know for sure. So the 10 teams that are going to be in the postseason. First off, let's get started with the American Wild Card game. So that game is going to be happening Monday night on ESPN. The Tampa Bay Rays are going to be traveling to Oakland. It says location to be determined. No. It's in Oakland because Oakland won the season series. So Oakland is going to be the home team. Tampa Bay Rays are traveling to Oakland. I am okay with that because we have a better record on the road. I'm a die-hard Tampa Bay Rays fan. I had season tickets growing up. I was born right down the street from Tropicana Field. I'm from St. Petersburg. That is really what I consider my hometown. I'm a Tampa Bay Rays fan through and through. That's my number one team. The Florida Gators follow that. We're still trying to figure out the National League wildcard game because you have a race between... First off, let's start with the NL Central. The NL Central is still a battle between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers. And as a matter of fact, let's take a look at the results from yesterday. The St. Louis Cardinals faced off against the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs won, but the Brewers lost. So there's still a one-game lead for the Chicago Cubs in the NL Central. The Brewers have already clinched a playoff spot. The Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers are both going to be in the playoffs. But who is going to be winning the NL Central? That means you get to bypass the one-game wild card game. So you really want to win the division in this one. So you have the Cardinals and the Brewers. They're in the playoffs no matter what. The Dodgers, they were the first team to clinch a long time ago. The Atlanta Braves, I'm liking the Atlanta Braves this year in the NL. I think they have an opportunity to at least go to the National League Championship Series. But who are they going to play? They're going to face off against the winner of the National League wild card game. So we're still seeing about that. The Houston Astros, the New York Yankees have also clinched as well. And am I missing anybody? I didn't do the finger count, so I don't know if I'm missing anybody. But we got the St. Louis Cardinals, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Oakland Athletics, the New York Yankees, the Houston Astros, the Minnesota Twins. The Blue Wahoos Major League affiliate. How could I forget? They won. They won the AL Central and they won their 100th game yesterday. So how could I forget about them?
Yeah, there's also 4 teams with 100 plus wins, first time ever in MLB history as well.
So really, this is shaping up to be an interesting postseason. I really do like the Minnesota Twins, folks. I really like it, led by some former Blue Wahoos. Randy Dobnak. This is a guy who he was one of the first guys I did during my Ride in the Pine series. I can't wait to continue that. But he was one of the first guys I interviewed in my Ride in the Pine series, and his family has been so cool. They've reached out to me. They've spoken to me about all this, and he has been dominating for the Twins.
Since we're talking about the Wahoos right now, I just want to give a shout-out to Marty Brennan. He just retired after his 46 years of being the broadcaster. And now, Tommy Thaw, the old UWF broadcaster, the old Blue Wahoos broadcaster, he is now the voice of the Cincinnati Reds, my hometown team.
Yes, you're a Reds fan by trade. We're all Blue Wahoos fans because of the Blue Wahoos.
Of course.
And so last year, a year ago around this time, Will Kennedy, we're hoping he can join us at 11:30 or 12:30, whichever time works for him. But we always try to have the voice of the UWF Argos to be on the show so we can talk about the game. Tommy Thrall was that guy last year. Tommy Thrall joined us on the Saturdays that he could join us. Tommy was a regular on this show. And yesterday it was announced that he is the new radio play-by-play broadcaster for the Cincinnati Reds. Congratulations to Tommy Thrall. wow, well-deserved. And frankly, you knew he wasn't going to stay in Pensacola too long because he was just that talented.
Yeah. And see,
that he wasn't going to stick around much longer.
And Marty Brennan's a really talented guy. Like, Marty Brennan's he's up there for like
46 years.
46 years.
With the Reds.
He was with there when the big red machine was there. He's great friends with Joe Morgan and Pete Rose. Those are some great names to be best friends with. And those are some pretty big shoes to fill. But I think Tommy Thrall's going to do a great job. He did a great job here for us. And I expect nothing but the best for him. And
absolutely.
Hopefully one of these days, hey, he can maybe join us on the show. Why not?
Yeah, and I texted him yesterday to congratulate him, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Now that he's a hot shot, he's probably got a million text messages. He's not going to get back to me, or no, he texted me back in like 10 seconds.
Oh wow!
It's like, thanks, man, I appreciate it. Like really, like Tommy is a stand-up guy, a very humble guy. And just got a confirmation that Will Kennedy is going to be joining us. So actually, we'll talk to Will about this promotion for Tommy as well, because you got to think we also again on Saturdays where they could join us. Chris Garagiola, who replaced Tommy from the baseball side, he's the new play-by-play voice for the Blue Wahoos. He would join us, and I remember speaking to him the first day he was introduced, and he even says big shoes to fill. I interned under Tommy. He taught me a lot so far, and Chris was another guy who used to work for the Cincinnati Reds. These are guys who all worked with Tommy, worked under him, they learned from him, and now these are the people that have to fill his shoes, these big shoes that he left to fill. So we'll talk to Will here in a little bit about Tommy getting promoted to the big leagues, and he joined the Reds last season, so he already has a year under his belt, but now he is the full-time play-by-play guy. And when actually, I don't follow the Reds as much as I probably should, but I did not realize that Marty Brennaman's last season was this year. And so when I heard that it was his last game, the game that they unfortunately did lose, I even thought, I wonder if this means Tommy is the next guy up.
I did too. Yeah, I did too. And then not even a day later, it was announced, Tommy Thrall, he's your new voice of the Cincinnati Reds.
Tommy Thrall, a guy who just hands down deserves every bit of it. Congratulations to Tommy Thrall. We're rooting for you the whole way. And hey, you know what? If I ever have an opportunity to come across a Cincinnati Reds game, I can't wait to hear you calling it, man. It's gonna be like old times. I remember the first time I met him was, I want to say 2015. I worked for the Blue Wahoos for a season.
I never got to really meet him before. I really wish I was able to. It was last year was my first year working here, and I still never really got a chance to meet him. I got to be around him a little bit, but didn't really get a chance to meet him. Wish I could have. But I hope in the future I'm able to work with some of the guys already with Will Kennedy and Chris Garagiola, because they clearly know a lot about what they're doing. And for me, wanting to pursue the career that they have, I want to try and get to know them.
Yeah, and Chris, I had the opportunity to call a Blue Wahoos game for Chris one year. It was towards the end of the regular one year. It was recently. I called a game for Chris because he had to do Cox Sports. He had to do the TV side, and they needed a radio guy. And Chris, he texted me. And so it was cool. That was a really cool opportunity. I got to see the side of that. I got to see the play-by-play side of baseball.
Yeah.
And baseball is one of those sports where it's, a slower-paced game. They're doing
slower.
Everything they can to speed the game up, especially in minors. They're experimenting with making the game a lot faster.
Play clock, like the pitch clock.
I've called football. Justin, you called football yesterday. You called we'll talk about the we'll talk about the Pensacola Pine Forest game here in a little bit, as well as the rest of the prep scores around the area. But you had your firsthand experience of calling a game alone.
Yeah, alone.
It's something.
That alone is it's different, because that's my first time ever doing a broadcast just by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot different, because you have someone to talk to, and someone gives you a break, and you're just like, I got to keep talking because we can't have dead air here.
I will never really ridicule a broadcaster again. Well, unless they're being just extremely unprofessional. I would never really ridicule someone for not being, the best broadcaster.
Yeah.
Because once you're in our shoes, and you and I've been in this game for about 2.5 years now. You're still very, very new to this. You're 18 years old also. So the fact that you're in this position right now is impressive. But still being fairly new. I work with people who've been in this game for 25, 30 years. And I'm still 2.5 years into this. I have a very long way to go in my career, but you learn that it's not that easy at all. you don't just put on a pair of headphones, or you don't just grab a mic and you start talking and you sound like you're Brent Musburger or Chris Fowler, some of the best or Vin Scully, some of the best broadcasters. Gus Johnson, who's one of the more animated broadcasters.
I tried to be like that last night with a lot of defensive big plays last night. I was trying to bring out my best Gus Johnson impression. Still nowhere near that, but I wish I could.
You come to learn that once you're live, it's real.
Yeah,
it's different. It's not exactly what you see on TV, or you're sitting on your couch and you're calling the game to yourself and you think, oh, this is so easy. No, once you have those headphones on, it's real.
And see, I learned a lot about myself yesterday doing this by myself. I learned that, I found out that I can actually talk for a while, but I just need to find better segues of transferring, because sometimes I just switch it to a different subject instead of segue into a better way. So I learned a lot about myself yesterday doing this by myself.
And of course, Joe Ford yesterday was not in the game. He was out of town, but he will be back with us again next week. And actually, I need to take a peek at the schedule, because you can hear all the football games on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM. But all the games can also be heard on News Radio as well. News Radio 92.3, our sister station. So a little twofer. We carry the game on ESPN, and then we simulcast on News Radio, because we really want to provide these football games to as many people as possible. So you just heard Pine Forest and Pensacola on the station last week or yesterday, but next week on October 4th, which is actually my cousin's birthday, and I will be out of town to go in Atlanta to go celebrate with my cousin, but we will be at the Navarre Tate game. Yeah. That's going to be a really fun game.
I'm excited for that game, man. So I got Navarre winning, of course, but I'm excited for that game because I haven't gotten to see Navarre play this year. And Marlon Courtney III, he's been one of the best quarterbacks around for a while. You actually got to break down his game versus Crestview in the regional quarterfinals last year.
I did it for Blab TV. I did a guest appearance for Blab TV. Yeah. Shout out to our friends at Blab TV. You can also watch Sports Drive with Chad Berliante from 5 to 7 on Blab TV as well. So, we're partnering up with anyone that we can partner up with.
Yeah, and he got hurt in that game. That was a big reason why Crestview won that game. And he's now the second, coming in this week, he was the second leading passer in the area. I think after the game Nate Simmons had, he was the leader in the area. After the game he had versus Pine Forest last night, I think Marlon Courtney III probably took over that spot real easily.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, first off, you can hear all these football games on ESPN Pensacola and News Radio 92.3. And again, you're going to have Navarre and Tate. That's going to be a really fun one because we haven't seen those two teams yet this season. For us, as a broadcaster, we keep up with these teams, but we haven't broadcasted them yet. So if you're a fan of those teams, your child goes to those teams, you go to the school, tune in. Be a part of the program. We'd love to have you. But also, let's go ahead and bring it back to baseball because playoffs are here, starting Monday with Oakland and Tampa Bay, which means I will. If anyone tries to call me, text me, I will not be getting back to you. Just giving you that heads up because I am watching that game. I am glued to the TV for that game. But of course, Tampa Bay with 96 wins on the year, we are actually 2 wins away from tying our all-time best. So all-time best record. I don't think we've played this well since 2008 when we went to the World Series out of nowhere, and that's when I was still living there. And I went to all those games. I went to those playoff games. I went to the World Series. Those games were incredible. So let's see if Tampa Bay can bring the magic this year. It's certainly looking fun. But we were recapping who's now officially locked in the playoffs, even though spots haven't officially been locked in because there's still a race going on out there for the NL Central, and the NL Wild Card is yet to be determined. I know the Washington Nationals, I had skipped over them. The Washington Nationals have already clinched a spot. They're going to be in the wild card because the Atlanta Braves already clinched the division for the NL East. So they're going to be in the wild card no matter what. It's really coming down to St. Louis and Milwaukee. And between these two teams, there's still one game separating them. Milwaukee had their opportunity, but they're playing Colorado. Colorado got the best of them. And then St. Louis, they're facing off against a Chicago Cubs team, might I add, who is sitting a lot of their best players because they're out of the race. And so you don't want your star pitcher to go out there and all of a sudden blow out his elbow because he was throwing a nonsense game. You don't want your best player tearing his ACL on a base because he was trying to leg out a double or leg out a single. You want to sit those players and make sure they're healthy for next year. So the Cubs aren't really playing their best guys. That's not the case for the St. Louis Cardinals, but yet the Cardinals did lose. And I want to give a shout out to Andrew McKay, who is our morning show host for News Radio 92.3. I produce his show, Pensacola Morning News, from 5 to 9 every Monday through Friday. He's from St. Louis. He is a diehard Cardinals fan. And he was actually very pessimistic about this game because, think about it, you have the Chicago Cubs playing guys who are fairly young and experienced. I was basically equivalating their current roster to a AAA roster. And Andrew said, these are young guys who are hungry, who are looking to make an impact. They want to remain in the majors next season. The Cardinals, on the other hand, they want to win the division, of course, but they also want to make sure they're healthy. But I'm siding on the side of they want to win the division. But you're going to have that hunger for the young Chicago Cubs. They're going to try and prove something. So he wasn't counting the Cubs out. And sure enough, the Cubs did win. So more baseball today, but I think the reality is we're going to be focusing a lot on college football today. It is Saturday. College football Saturday is among us, and we do have games going on right now, and we're going to get you updated on those games. In the meantime, you're listening to Sports Call with Davis and Justin on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Hey sports fans, we know that we all fumble now and then when we're headed for the end zone, and our vehicles are no exception. Next time your bad ride is a little off sides, take it to Amco Transmission, your total car care facility. And with no interest financing, even with less than perfect credit, you'll drive away feeling as if you caught the winning touchdown. You always make the right play when you take your vehicle to Amco Transmission on Davis Highway, just south of Airport Boulevard. Visit them on Facebook or call 800-GO-AMCO. AA-MCO.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this, and as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today.
Football and falling clearance prices. It's here at Pensacola Honda with these great deals. Get a Honda 2019 HR-V all-wheel drive LX CVT for only $249 a month. You own it. Or how about a 2019 Honda Accord Sedan CVT LX for $111 a month? 36-month lease, only $39.99 down. See dealer for details. Rates as low as 1.9% APR on select models. Pensacola Honda and online at PensacolaHonda.com. Home of the one price, low price guarantee.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
From the all-time leading running back Emmitt Smith to Hall of Fame linebackers like Derrick Brooks, Pensacola is full of NFL legends. Well, how about joining some of the NFL legends every Sunday down at World of Beer, 200 South Palafox, for your ESPN Pensacola NFL tailgate party? It all gets kicked off at 10 o'clock. Stay around for the best games, prizes, and more at your favorite destination. It's the NFL Tailgate Show on ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1.
ESPN Pensacola is your home for UWF Argos football. Catch every game, home or away, on Pensacola's home for local sports. Next week, Delta State comes to Pensacola to take on the UWF Argos. Pregame starts at 5:30, kickoff at 6. Hear all the play-by-play action right here on your home for Argos football and local sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1. UWF football is presented in part by Summer Vista Assisted Living.
Golick and Wingo. A different host from ESPN Radio from around the country is going to make their pick in our Survivor Pool.
This is Davis Allen from ESPN Pensacola, and my pick for the Golick and Wingo Survivor Pool is Kansas City over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That might be the toughest game on the board week one, and Pensacola is swinging with Hall of Famer Patrick Mahomes.
5 to 9 every weekday morning. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
You know what I need, want you to see everything.
Oh, yeah, you know we had to let that one play out. This is Sports Call with Davis and Justin. Happy Saturday, everybody. Man, we made it. We made it. We got through the week, and here we are. It's Saturday. College football is here. Playoff baseball is almost here. Will Kennedy, the voice of the UWF Argos, he's going to be joining us here in about, what time is it, 9 minutes or so? Maybe we'll give commercials. He'll be joining us in about 11 minutes to talk about the game today. UWF is taking on Mississippi College, and you and I, just like last week, will be at that game. We'll be covering it, so you can check the social media. If you're away from the area or if you're going to be away from the area and you can't listen, you can, of course, listen through stream. You can listen on ESPNpensacola.com. Or maybe you're at like a super important event and you can't listen, but you can get updates through your phone. You can check our social media, and we'll keep you updated. That's going to be our job, as well as trying to give you everything post-game. But in the meantime, we are here talking about college football now. We just recapped some baseball, but Wisconsin and Northwestern is currently going on. We always like to give you an update of the current games that are going on. Wisconsin currently has a 7-0 lead over Northwestern, and I want to go ahead and transition to Wisconsin. And Jonathan Taylor is an absolute beast of a running back, and I think you and I agree that from the non-quarterback position, he's the favorite to win the Heisman. But, of course, you still have people like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields, it's going to be a really tight race, but I think Justin Fields has the opportunity to be a front runner for the Heisman Trophy. Also, in about 3 weeks or so, him and Jonathan Taylor are going to be facing off. So I have a feeling College Game Day is going to be at that game. But Wisconsin's actually they're wearing throwback jerseys today. This is pretty nice. Wisconsin repping some really old school jerseys, probably from the 20s or 30s. That's looking pretty nice. But Wisconsin took it to Michigan last week. Just took it. And Jonathan Taylor, 23 rushes, 203 yards, averaging 8.8 yards per carry with 2 touchdowns. Had a really long run. He even was out at one point during the game because he was having cramps. Dude, this kid is for real. Jack Cohn, he's the quarterback at Wisconsin. He had a very efficient game. That's really the best way I can put it. He went 13 for 16 with 128 yards. He had an efficient game. He also ran the ball 7 times for 12 yards. But I think that this Wisconsin team is easily, them and Ohio State, 2 of the best teams in the Big Ten for sure. It's unfortunate that these 2 teams play in the same division in the Big Ten because I would love to see these 2 teams play each other in the conference championship. I would love to see how that game goes. But I want to transition to Michigan real quick. Michigan, going into this game, I know I can't remember if you predicted it, but I for sure predicted Wisconsin to beat Michigan.
Predicted Michigan, and see, here's why. So ESPN, they have this college pick'em thing that they do. It's kind of like, it's a fantasy type thing. They give their 10 top games of the week, and I was kind of late because I knew the games getting ready to start at 12. And it was in the middle of a commercial last week. I just started clicking, like, my first thought of like history, like past seasons, not really focused on what they would look like this season. And I picked Michigan. I deeply regretted that very quickly.
We all have those games where you feel, you could be rushed into making a pick. I've had those moments too. Or sometimes you'll pick a game where you feel so confident in it, and then you're just embarrassed. It was so bad. But speaking of embarrassment, Michigan should be embarrassed. They are that team that you can't really buy into them right now. And it's just speaking right now, because last season they were undefeated going into Ohio State. The big game. One of the best rivalries in all of college football is Ohio State-Michigan. And Ohio State just embarrassed Michigan. Embarrassed them. But then you look at the grand scheme of their schedule, the whole scope of it, it wasn't a great schedule for Michigan. There were close games. In fact, I actually want to go and say that, kind of going back, I think Michigan may have lost a game, now that I think about it, to Notre Dame. But they won the rest of their season. And then you take on Ohio State, you get blown out. They think that they are a team that got, skipped over when it came to having a playoff spot. Good thing they got skipped over. Because then they take on Florida. Florida annihilates them. We were there covering that game. Our good friend Jordan Glass, him and I were at that game covering it. But, this Michigan team and John Harbaugh, I don't know how they're going to do the rest of the season. They're winning right now over Rutgers. That's expected. They're beating them right now 14-0. Shea Patterson has not looked good at the quarterback position for them at all. Dylan McCaffrey about got his head blown off yet last week against Wisconsin. So It's not looking like he's going to be playing anytime soon if Shea Patterson's going to be hurt. I think Shea Patterson suffered an injury at one point. So Joe Milton, I think Shea Patterson's going to play today, but Joe Milton would be the other guy that they turn to. This team is just not looking good. They're really struggling on offense. We saw them play against Army, but by the way, Army has my respect, and they've had my respect for a little while.
Option. I love the triple option run.
So that wasn't a sleeper. That really to me was not a sleeper.
No, because Army every year they have that really close game. Last year they. Last year was Oklahoma that they went into overtime with, and that was a tough Oklahoma team with Kyler Murray. But every year, Army, they're a great team. And see, Michigan's a completely different team when it comes to the run defense. Last year, with the number 1 run defense in the nation, but they lost Devin Bush, their linebacker, and then Chase Winovich, their DN. And those are 2 big hits. Those are the leaders of their defense, and losing those guys was a big hit to their run defense. And so it's a different scheme of things out there in Ann Arbor.
In Michigan, they have a tough schedule. If you think about it, they have a tough schedule. I mean, they have Rutgers right now, and they're beating Rutgers. That's going to be a win. They're going to go 3-1 after this one. And they're ranked 20th, but then they have Iowa after that. Now, that's a home game. But Iowa's a good team.
Great team.
Iowa's a good team. That could be a bad game for Michigan. And also now that Michigan, they're missing some of their good players as well. You mentioned Chase Winovich, but then you know what? Just off the top of my head, I'm blanking. But they had some talented defensive players that they're missing from last season that went in the first round of the NFL draft. They're missing. Devin Bush is one of them at linebacker. They're missing some key players now because they left early for the draft. So they're missing some good players. But they have Penn State. Illinois should be a win for them, but they have Penn State. Then they play Notre Dame again at Notre Dame. And hey, we're going to talk about Notre Dame, Georgia here in a little while. Notre Dame, they won some respect.
Yeah.
But you could also argue that Georgia was soft.
I mean, they're still in the top 10 right now. So I say
they're number 10.
Yeah, that shows a lot of respect right now that they were given because they said, hey, all right, you held in there with Georgia. You didn't get your butt whooped. We're going to leave you in this top 10 and see what else you can do for the rest of the season. We're going to let you stay.
Yes, and right after Notre Dame, they have Maryland, which, by the way, I'm going to be talking about Maryland later on in this show because what on earth? Michigan State is always a tough one. Indiana, whatever. But Ohio State, of course, to finish off the year. Michigan has a tough schedule ahead. I'm looking at 4 losses possibly. But if you lose to Ohio State, a team that Harbaugh has never beaten, as a coach at least, I have a hard time believing he's staying. I have a very hard time believing he's staying. Now, if he were to have not so great of a year and somehow pull off the upset of Ohio State, I could see Harbaugh sticking around again because that's like the biggest redemption game that you could possibly have. But Michigan's one of those teams where just making it to a bowl game isn't enough. Just beating Ohio State in a way shouldn't have to just be enough. It's Michigan. They want to be in that spot to be in a Big Ten championship. They want to be in that spot to make it to a playoff. Harbaugh has been very close, but he hasn't won those big games. He hasn't. And then you lose the Peach Bowl last year. It hasn't been pretty for them. Harbaugh is in a very, very hot seat right now. Very hot seat. In that game against Wisconsin last week, now granted, they played a very talented Wisconsin team. I think Wisconsin having the ability to, first off, keep Jonathan, not really ability, but Jonathan Taylor needs to stay healthy because he is your Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley made Penn State look amazing. But if you slowed down Saquon, that Penn State team had a really tough time moving forward. And I thought Saquon was one of those people who was like a shoo-in to win the Heisman. It wasn't possible. It didn't happen at the end because he slowed down towards the end of the year.
Yep.
Jonathan Taylor, if he continues to be dominant, he's a guy that you could see winning the Heisman Trophy. Very much so.
But the thing is, it's the running back position, which is always a little bit harder to stay consistent with because of the beatings that they take and it's a lot of hard hitting that they take. And it's a big toll on your body as a running back. That's why we saw Saquon Barkley slow down a lot. I think we could see the same thing in Jonathan Taylor. I mean, we saw cramps last week. I'm not saying it's going to be the same thing this week.
We still saw 203 yards.
I'm not that was with cramps, 203 yards. That's what's crazy about it. But it's really hard. Christian McCaffrey, I honestly think he should have won the Heisman that year instead of Derrick Henry. That's just me.
And that was a pretty close race.
Yeah, because if you go back and look at the highlights, Christian McCaffrey is just, in my opinion, a way more electric athlete and runner than Derrick Henry was. That's in the past, but forget about it. But then again, the last time we had a running back win the Heisman was Derrick Henry, and Christian McCaffrey was second in voting. that we haven't really seen running back since then like that. Well, Saquon Barkley was the closest thing we saw to it, but he like we said, he got a toll taken on his body because of the hard hitting. And Jonathan Taylor, I think we could see the same thing because it's the same conference. It's the Big Ten. Big Ten has a lot of hard hitters.
And, of course, Wisconsin taking on Northwestern right now. They have Kent State next week. Then they have Michigan State. That should be an interesting game. Illinois, but then you have Ohio State on October 26th. If Wisconsin can remain undefeated up to that point, and I have every belief that Ohio State has the ability to be undefeated up to that point, I think they're just a really strong team, and they have one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. This would be a really, really, really fun matchup. And I hope they're both undefeated when we get to that point because that's going to be a fun game to watch. So Michigan looks like they're in trouble early in this season, even though it's only their first loss of the year. It was not a pretty loss, and they have a tough schedule ahead of them. And John Harbaugh, those khakis could be, going away. You may not see the khakis on the sidelines in Ann Arbor much longer. But we do want to try and keep this local because coming up today, West Florida is going to be taking on Mississippi College at 6 o'clock at Blue Wahoo Stadium. And joining us after this break is the voice of the Argos, Will Kennedy. That's all coming up and more on Sports Call with Davis and Justin on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Make new memories this summer at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Owning a Harley is easier and more affordable than ever because at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola, they say WTF. That's right, they are willing to finance. Bad credit, no problem. The Harley-Davidson experts will get you financed. Discover your inner child again with the freedom that owning a Harley brings. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Let's ride.
Does pain have you sidelined on the bench? Clearway Pain Solutions wants you back in the game. Our team of compassionate, board-certified pain specialists, chiropractors, and physical therapists will relieve your pain and restore your function. For comprehensive, patient-centered care, visit a Clearway doctor at one of our convenient locations near you. Call Clearway Pain Solutions today at 855-527-PAIN or visit our website at clearwaypain.com. That's 855-527-PAIN or clearwaypain.com.
Small businesses drive our nation's economy, employing about half of the country's private sector workforce.
Here's coffee.
Thanks so much. When you shop at local small businesses, you help the entire community thrive.
Hello, I'm Senator Marco Rubio. I support local small businesses for the good of our community. Let's help our neighbors thrive.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
I'm really hungry, but I don't want to spend a fortune.
Well, you're in luck. Now you can get Denny's Super Slam with 2 eggs, 2 bacon strips, 2 sausage links, hash browns, and 2 pancakes, all for just $5.99.
That is a great deal. So I get all of that for just $5.99?
You sure do.
Wow, this meal just keeps getting better and better.
Some might say super.
I see what you did there.
The $5.99 Super Slam is back. See you at Denny's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. No substitutions.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5 is locally owned by the ADX Communications Group. That includes News Radio 92.3 and AM 1620, Cat Country 98.7 and 1330 WEBY 99.1 FM. This means that we have the staff, the experience, and the generators to get you through the storm before, during, and after. We care, and we're ready because we're local. ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
We have a job to do out here today.
To be a winning team, you have to work like a winning team.
My team depends on me.
And my team is 50,000 strong.
This is the Action Team. High school students and Major League Baseball players working together to train and inspire the next generation of volunteers.
I'm LaTroy Hawkins.
I'm Craig Kimbrell, and we're on the team.
The Action Team.
Our team is the Action Team. Get in on the action at actionteam.org. Are you in?
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Yeah, that fight song, it can only mean one thing. UWF Argos are taking on Mississippi College today, and on the show with us today is the voice of the UWF Argos, Will Kennedy, on to talk about today's game, which kicks off at 6 o'clock, but you can catch him at 5:30 with the UWF pregame show. Will, welcome back to Sports Call.
Happy Saturday, everybody.
I know, man. It's one of those days where it's Saturday, and this Saturday just means more to me than ever because it was a very busy week at the office for us, and now it's Saturday. We can kick back, relax, and enjoy some football, especially at Blue Wahoo Stadium today, where the Argos are going to be taking on Mississippi College, coming in with the same record, 2-1. Both teams looking good, especially with conference play.
Yeah, Mississippi College is a program that's really on the ascendancy for sure, and coming in with 2 straight wins and a big win over North Greenville in conference play last week. So this is a part of the season, Davis, where the games start to mean a little bit more. They don't count anymore necessarily, although they are conference games. But you're diving into the thick of GSC play now. Already 1-0 in the conference with that win over Shorter a couple of weeks ago, but this is going to be a big one today.
Absolutely. And real quick, last week we saw records broken last week when they took on Virginia Lynchburg. Now, we weren't really surprised by the victory, but the amount of the victory that it was, 69-0 over Lynchburg, it was an absolute blowout. We saw 3 quarterbacks play in that game, other players who maybe don't play so much. We saw a backup kicker take some kicks. We saw a lot going on in that ball game. Just a huge victory going into this one.
Yeah, the kicking situation, let's get into that in just a second. But yeah, you have a situation last week where we kind of knew, or at least expected, or had an inkling that might be the kind of game it was. Virginia Lynchburg is a program, a very small school program that's really struggling, and I think we said this last week leading up to the game. It's really a schedule filler, if you will. We had another opponent in that slot that backed out kind of last minute, so it really became, for Dave Scott, the athletic director, and Coach Pete Shinnick, we got to find somebody to fill this home game hole, and it ended up being Lynchburg. And you feel for a program like that. You just look at the numbers. They had about half the players we do. I think we dressed out 100 last week. But we scored on offense. We scored on a pick six on defense. We blocked the punt, took it into the end zone. So almost every way possible that you could put the football in the end zone, the Argos were able to do that. What does that mean? What do you take away from that game? We'll talk with Coach Shinnick about that in the pregame, as you mentioned, at 5:30 a little bit later. But, it is one of those things. Confidence boost for a lot of guys who maybe don't play a whole lot, but, really when you break the film down, Coach Shinnick will tell you, we're still looking at the mistakes we made. There were too many penalties. There was an interception on the first offensive play of the game, and you still scored 69 points. You have to see how that translates to facing a much better Mississippi College team this week.
And really, if you think about it, there are more points that could have been put on the board, but I mentioned that we saw a backup kicker come into this ball game. Austin Williams missing 3 field goals, and just, one of them was a distance field goal, but he dropped it well short. Then there were others that were pushed left, pushed right. The struggles have been continuing. Even though he did make a field goal in this ball game, the struggles are continuing for Austin Williams.
He made a 37-yarder after missing one, and he missed a 57-yarder. In all fairness, that we almost saw one of those Alabama-Auburn plays where the kick six, the big return on that didn't end up hurting us. But yeah, he's really struggled. At one point, he had missed his last 10 field goal attempts. Makes the one, and you think, okay, maybe this is what turns things around for Austin. And this is a kid that 2 years ago, that magical 2017 season, was kicking at an All-American level. And really, you can count on, and that's what you want with a program like this. If you're wanting to be one of the elites in Division II, and translates to Division I as well, you've got to have that kicker that really anything inside of 40 to 45 yards is a no-brainer from a coaching standpoint, because it really changes the way you're going to call plays offensively. If you have concerns about a 35-yard field goal as a roll of the dice, you start doing things differently. So Coach Shinnick's not calling it a controversy yet. He said, depending on the game and the situation, we'll see if it's Austin or Alex who's going to kick. And I got a feeling before the season's done, you're probably going to see who's got the hot hand. And you got to be ready for those games coming up, those Valdostas and West Al's and West Georgias, to know that your kicking game is strong.
Yeah, we got to see Alex Virgilio in the game. He hit a 37-yarder himself in that ball game, and it was good to see him come out, give him a rep, give him a little bit of game time experience. But still, you think a guy who was just an automatic 3 points out of Austin Williams 2 years ago, we saw him get off to a good start last season. He started struggling. He continues those struggles going into this year. But the part of me that was there for most of 2017 says that there is still that kicker in there. We just got to find a way to crack that slump. We need to find a way to get him back to where he is, because we already know he can do it. It's just, when will he get back into that role?
Guys that kick, at the highest of levels, the Graham Gano, who's from State High School here in FSU, local guy, Lawrence Tynes, Milton, the Giants won Super Bowls. Aldell Greco through the years. I've been around a lot of these guys. They'll tell you it's a lot like golf, kicking. And the problem becomes, Davis, when it gets into your head, it's almost like the yips with putting. Or you remember back a few years ago in baseball, Chuck Knobloch was an all-star second baseman with the Yankees. All of a sudden, he couldn't throw the ball from second base to first. It's a mental thing. Austin kind of deconstructed after the 2017 season. Going into 2018, he listened to a coach and kind of changed some of the things he was doing to try to, improve his accuracy from deeper, because he's thinking maybe next level kind of thing, beyond college. And I think that kind of messed him up. Remember when Tiger, at the height of Tiger Woods' domination, he tried to retool his swing a little bit. It ended up not being the answer. So I think Austin's still kind of struggling with that. And I'm with you. I think it might just take one or two kicks. If he nails a 50-yarder at some point here, maybe this week, that might turn everything around.
And we hope to see that. We hope to see that today. If he's on the field, you have the ability to still get 3 points on the board, and we hope to see he can turn the tides today. But speaking of today, Mississippi College, it's family week in Appley Wahoo Stadium. We're seeing kickoff at 6 o'clock. We're back in conference play, and this is a big one because you have a stretch of 3 home games in a row, with starting with Virginia Lynchburg, then you have Mississippi College, and you have Delta State next week. But in conference play, and the Argos, they're going to continue to face tougher teams as they move on. Valdosta State, they're out there. They're later on in the year, but they're out there. A game like this for Mississippi College, this has to be a big win for the Argos.
Absolutely. This one this week with Mississippi College, and you mentioned Delta State next week for homecoming. Those are, you hate to say this early in the year, but those are really must-wins. You got to get those conference victories at home for that back half of the conference schedule, which is really super tough. Mississippi College presents a unique challenge. They're not quite Carson Newman in the way that they play, who by the way, Carson Newman lost to Wingate last week, so that kind of hurts us potentially down the road in the polling and some of that regional stuff, but they're not quite the veer that Carson Newman ran. They are the triple option. They have a dynamic quarterback in Dietrich Holloway, who last year gave us fits over in Clinton, Mississippi. Think about like Russell Wilson at the NFL level. This kid, you want to keep him in the pocket. When you chase him out of the pocket, he becomes even more dangerous, and his receivers kind of scramble around. He won't throw the ball often, but when he does, it's usually big hitters down the field after your secondary just had to cover for too long. And he's slippery. He's 5'8", like 170. Defensive linemen will tell you this is hard to get your arms around him. They run the ball well. They'll run 3 running backs. They'll run that triple option, kind of like old school stuff. He leads the team in rushing as well. His brother plays defensive back, had a pick 6 last week to seal that win over North Greenville. So they're going to give us trouble. They're going to give us fits. And last year we led at every stage of the game, but they stayed close right up until the end. That was a game over there that had a weather delay. We don't look for any of that tonight, but the way our offense, the Argos are clicking on offense, and I think last week, even though it's Lynchburg, and we'll take that into account, I think you saw the defense take a big step forward.
Right, shutting out a team, again, you play 4 quarters, and you still have to play defense. It doesn't matter the team. You have to play defense, and they pitched a shutout. So you go into a team like Mississippi College, and keeping in mind, this team runs a similar offense like Carson Newman, a team that we ended up losing to. Still held them to 20 points, but we still lost to them. Defensively, this is going to be a big game for us to see how we can manage to handle that triple option offense, which can be, if ran right, very difficult to stop. We see Army out there. Army runs a triple option. They're really tough to stop. And now you have UWF taking on Mississippi College, but you mentioned that we're clicking on offense. Austin Reed, a guy that most of us were unfamiliar with as fans. We were unfamiliar with this guy. He's from Florida, from St. Augustine. He transfers from a Division I school. He's now at UWF. You didn't see him in spring ball, but he's playing really good football as of late, starting with Shorter.
I think you're starting to see, Davis, that, as his grasp of the offense increases, with each week and each week of practice, really, it's not just the time on the field of the games that we see. It's the stuff that's happening day in and day out as he, becomes more comfortable with all the plays. I mean, wow, what a situation to be in as a quarterback. Yeah, you're transferring down from Division I to Division II, but you land at a program with an offensive mind like Coach Pete Shinnick, and a group of wide receivers. I don't think we can say enough about this group. The first 6 guys that play, all of them are dynamic. All of them are really a number one receiver at a lot of other programs. And then you've got, I'm going to say 8 or 9 guys really that have all caught the ball this year. I think about 6, 7 of them have touchdowns. I mean, Quentin Randolph leads the way as far as yardage. He's made some dynamic plays. Kevin Grant, Tate Latillo. I mean, the list goes on and on. Rodney Coates. All these guys can catch it inside, can catch it outside, can go up and make a spectacular grab, can catch the little one and turn it upfield. I mean, we were starting to see that. So Austin Reed, last week we didn't even really see him run at all. We've seen him in the first 2 games be a part of the running game. Didn't have to do that last week. I don't know from the other side of the ball, if I'm Mississippi College defensively, if I'm their defensive coordinator, how do you game plan for a UWF team that right now is throwing it like that? And then we also see last week, in the last 2 weeks, Anthony Johnson, here he comes, the base product at running back. And then we're seeing Shamari Mason and Gardner and Newton. We've got 4 running backs who are all dynamic, and they're all different in the way that they run the football. It's a nightmare, I think, right now. If you're going to try to figure out how to stop this Argo offense.
Oh, and we saw a great game out of Anthony Johnson last week. 11 carries, 85 yards. He scored a touchdown. The running game was on it last week, and we'll see what we can bring into this game. Will Kennedy, you can hear him at 5:30 with the UWF pregame show with kickoff at 6, heard right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM. But real quick, Will, before I let you go, the guy who was the voice of the Argos last season, Tommy Thrall. I do want to take a moment to talk about him. We talked about him when we started the show, but it has been announced that he is the new full-time play-by-play guy for the Cincinnati Reds on radio. Just take a moment. You've worked with him. You filled in for him when he went up to the Reds as sort of his tryout. Just real quick, just take a few moments if you have some words for Tommy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first of all, I don't think people realize how unique a situation and how rare it is for, and I'm not going to, give Tommy's age out, but we'll just say he's a young man. He's much younger than I am. To get the opportunity that Tommy has gotten and to pounce upon that. And let me share a story, because last year, Tommy was doing these UWF games, and I had just come back. I'd been in Charlotte, North Carolina for 4 years as a television news anchor there, and came back home here to Pensacola and go to work for the university, and I'm kind of doing some other things. But they said, hey, Tommy said, could you do this Midwestern State game? I think the second week of the season was this long trip to Texas. And he said, I've got this opportunity. The Reds are going to be trying out different guys from their minor league system. And I'm going to go up to Cincinnati and do a weekend series of games. And it's really kind of a tryout to see who might replace, Marty Brenneman as the next voice of the Reds. So Tommy goes up there and he's kind of in contact with me. And he says, kind of rain delay. And so, he feels this rain delay. And that may be, Davis, what actually got Tommy the job was, what he did when it wasn't the baseball on the field. It was filling that time. And, he was original when the Wahoos came to town. I was here at that point with Channel 3 locally, but during that time. And, what an opportunity that he got then, and then to take advantage of this one now. It just doesn't happen at that young an age. And Tommy has positioned himself perfectly. And that's because he puts in the effort, he puts in the work, and really has a knack for it. Loves baseball, too. As good as he is with football, baseball is really his home. So proud of him and looking forward to, maybe he can get 40 years out of it, right?
Absolutely. 40. Yeah. Marty Brenneman, he set the bar pretty high. 46 years with the Cincinnati Reds. Hey.
Crazy.
We could see, he's a young guy, like you mentioned. We could see that. Let's see if he can go 47.
I mean, it could be a lifetime job. Although here's the secret. I think a lot of people know he's a Royals fan, not a Reds fan.
Oh, that's right. He is a Kansas City guy.
We don't want to tell him. Just want to remind everybody today, too, if you're coming down to the game at Blue Wahoo Stadium, keep in mind it's also Seafood Festival in downtown Pensacola.
Yeah.
So, give yourself a little extra time, because the parking situation around the stadium may be a little nuts, because people usually – I think last year we were out of town when the Seafood Festival was going on. So people usually tend to park down by the stadium and through that area and then walk down towards Pavilion Square. So may want to give yourself a little bit extra breathing room to get in and out of the stadium today.
Yeah, in fact, my producer and co-host, Justin Patrick, he'll be at Seafood Fest before he comes out to the football game today.
It's a good time. Molly Ringwalds are playing tonight. I hate to miss it because we'll still be doing the game. But, wow, what a bunch of great stuff happening in downtown Pensacola today.
I will be honest with you, Will. After the game, I will be heading down to Bartram Park to watch the Molly Ringwalds. They are a fantastic
problem with that,
group.
Man.
All right, well, Will Kennedy, you can hear him starting at 5:30 right here on ESPN Pensacola with the UWF pregame show. Will, good luck out there today, and go Argos.
Go Argos. We'll talk to you later.
All right, 11:51 here on Sports Call with Davis and Justin. And again, kickoff against Mississippi College, heard right here on ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1. You're listening to Sports Call with Davis and Justin. We'll be back in just a moment. We're going to continue to talk about more college football. We'll dive into a little bit of the NFL. We'll touch on some baseball because there's one guy out there who's a rookie and a University of Florida grad, Pete Alonso. He is currently trying to make history, and we'll talk about him next on Sports Call.
What if people had a battery level icon, like on your phone? You'd see a lot of us in need of a recharge. Thank goodness there's 5-Hour Energy. Because just one sugar-free, vitamin-packed 5-Hour Energy shot can get you all the way back to 100% fast. And isn't life better at 100%? 5-Hour Energy. Get back to 100%. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
Imagine having a luxury hotel quality bath in your own home. That's what you'll get with Bath Fitter Pensacola. Bath Fitter will install a beautiful luxury tub in as little as 1 day. There's no demo, no mess, no stress. With thousands of options to choose from, custom design a bath you'll love. It's under warranty for as long as you own your home. With over 35 years experience and more than 2 million satisfied customers, Bath Fitter makes upgrading your bath easy. Visit bathfitter.com today to book your free in-home consultation or call 429-1777.
Well, you want to see a Broadway show, but New York City just isn't in the cards.
Broadway's coming to you. Get your tickets now for the 2019-2020 Broadway season at the Sanger Theater. See amazing Broadway touring shows like Jersey Boys, Cats, The Color Purple, Beautiful, An American in Paris, and Waitress for a third of the cost you would pay on Broadway. See actual Broadway shows right here in downtown Pensacola. Get all the details at PensacolaSanger.com.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golick and Wingo. Oh, yeah. To the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
I'm Troy Rafferty, and many of you know about my love for sports and my longtime support for our local high school athletes. One thing these fine young people have taught me over the years is this: whether it's on the ball field, in the classroom, or in a court of law, always work your hardest and achieve the best results possible. And that is the commitment we make to our clients and our community.
Levin Papantonio in Pensacola since 1955.
This is Davis Allen, co-host of Sports Call with Davis and Justin. Catch Justin, Patrick, and me every Saturday from 11 to 1. College football is finally back, so join us this Saturday from 11 to 1 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1.
Welcome to ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1. Pensacola's home to the best talk in sports, new and improved. We are ESPN Pensacola 1330 and FM 99.1.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Oh, when that song is on, that means we either love it or we hate it. This is when we take time to basically give a statement, we'll make a prediction, and do we love that or do we hate that? Justin, get us started.
Jim Harbaugh will not be at the University of Michigan next year.
I love it. I think this is going to be a rough season for Michigan and him. Look, they have injuries on their team. They don't have the talent that they had last year, but Michigan is a team that expects to win. They also are trying to beat Ohio State. If you go your career and not beat Ohio State, then they're going to find somebody else. I still think Harbaugh's a good coach, but I think that this is going to be it for him at Michigan.
I love it. Just because you can't win the big game, man. Like, you can't win the big game. You're getting out-coached in the big games.
I think he could go back to the Pac.
Really?
Pac-12 conference? I think so.
Well, the Pac-12 needs help, man. But can we just talk about the Pac-12 real quick? Every year with them, they're so inconsistent. Like, their top team can be doing so good. Last night, Cal, 15th-ranked team in the nation, lost to ASU.
I'm going to give some credit to ASU, though. They're a decent team.
I said this during the halftime show of the PHS Pine Forest game. I said, ASU's going to win this game. They won. And so here's the thing. It's every week. Or every couple weeks, the top team goes down. Like, they can never stay consistent. Last week, Washington State loses to UCLA, 0-3 UCLA.
Oh, in record-setting fashion, giving up a 32-point lead. Okay, what's next?
All right, St. Louis will hold on to win the NL Central.
I love it because you want to win the NL Central, and currently they hold a one-game lead. They lose tonight, and Milwaukee wins. We're tied, which makes it very interesting on Sunday, but I think St. Louis has just enough to hold on and win it, and then they're going to bypass the wild card game, and they'll automatically be in the NLDS. They'll have at least 5 games to prove themselves.
I love it. Or
really 3.
Florida will put at least 50 on Townsend. It's a 37.5 under for Florida. I say they cover.
I think they could cover. I mean, it's Towson. Look, this is really a no-nothing game, but I do want to see a lot out of this game. How's Kyle Trask going to play? What's the running game looking like? I'm not really looking too hard on defense because I think we will hold Towson to under 14 points. I have a hard time believing they'll score a touchdown, but I love it. And then we have Auburn next week, so this will be really interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game next week. Definitely try out some new players, but don't rely too much on your stars. You got to save them.
Expect Emory Jones to play some snaps.
Willie Taggart will survive to coach next season.
All right, we are talking about this after the break. I'm going to say yes for right now. I love it. For right now. Next week could be a whole new story. Okay. But for right now, I love it.
Notre Dame proved a lot in their loss to Georgia last week.
I love it. I think they did. I think you saw a lot of good things out of them, but also if I can just go ahead and just nag Georgia just a little bit.
Go ahead.
We saw the play calling was weak, I thought. I thought that we saw a good game out of Jake Fromm, but it was so conservative it seemed like.
So conservative. I don't think we saw the risky plays or anything big out of them. I thought we could have seen a lot more.
We saw good football out of Notre Dame. We saw good football really out of Georgia as well, but overall it was a good game. Georgia did hang on to win, but I think we saw a lot out of Notre Dame. All right, 11:59 here. Sports Call with Davis and Justin. We have one more hour to go, and we had just talked about Willie Taggart. Is he going to survive this season? We'll talk about that coming up next.
Football season has arrived, and ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF football on Saturdays, and the NFL on Sundays. If you would like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM. WEBY Milton, Pensacola.
As a single mom here in Santa Rosa County, I'm voting for the penny tax because my son will have a better community to grow up in. From the YMCA and parks to recreation and bike paths, he will have a safe place to be a boy. For a safe and fun childhood for your kids and mine, please vote for the penny on October 8th. This penny will replace the current half-penny tax and will end in 10 years. Please vote for the penny on October 8th.
Political ad paid for by Moving Santa Rosa Forward.
Does pain have you sidelined on the bench? Clearway Pain Solutions wants you back in the game. Our team of compassionate, board-certified pain specialists, chiropractors, and physical therapists will relieve your pain and restore your function. For comprehensive, patient-centered care, visit a Clearway doctor at one of our convenient locations near you. Call Clearway Pain Solutions today at 855-527-PAIN or visit our website at clearwaypain.com. That's 855-527-PAIN or clearwaypain.com.
I'm really hungry, but I don't want to spend a fortune. Well, you're in luck. Now you can get Denny's Super Slam with 2 eggs, 2 bacon strips, 2 sausage links, hash browns, and 2 pancakes, all for just $5.99.
That is a great deal. So I get all of that for just $5.99?
You sure do.
Wow, this meal just keeps getting better and better.
Some might say super.
I see what you did there.
The $5.99 Super Slam is back. See you at Denny's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. No substitutions.
Make new memories this summer at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Owning a Harley is easier and more affordable than ever because at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola, they say WTF. That's right, they are willing to finance. Bad credit, no problem. The Harley-Davidson experts will get you financed. Discover your inner child again with the freedom that owning a Harley brings. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Let's ride.
All right, so Florida State is taking on NC State today. And, NC State comes in with a 3-1 record. Florida State, they're 2-2, coming off what I will call a big victory over Louisville because they needed that win.
They needed it.
They needed that win at home. So I would call that a big victory for sure. In fact, for our fans of Florida State football, you can listen to them on our sister station, News Radio 92.3 AM 1620. All the games for Florida State are heard on that station. And this is a home game. And they are favored by 6.5. They are going to have a different quarterback, Alex Hornibrook. He came in, by the way, first quarterback ever in Florida State history to throw a touchdown on his first pass attempt. So you saw something promising. Florida State, they were leading Louisville. Louisville started coming back. They took the lead. It looked like, oh no, here we go again. Florida State can't play in the second half. They just disappeared in the second half. They just can't do it. But Alex Hornibrook came in. The offense started moving again. They ended up winning. You can breathe a sigh of relief. Expect Hornibrook in the game. Although James Blackman did practice, he suffered an injury last week. He did practice. I wouldn't expect to see Blackman. But also, as a matter of fact, if Hornibrook was able to get your team out there and start driving you guys again, why would you want to go back to Blackman? That's just me. I thought Hornibrook was going to start the season. I said this a long time ago. I thought Hornibrook was going to start the season. That ended up not being the case. They've been going with James Blackman. So they're now with Hornibrook. They're moving the ball offensively. You have NC State coming in. I don't know enough about NC State to be able to talk about them in extent. I know just enough to talk about Florida State to where they need this victory. They need this victory, and I want to go for this far. And now it's time for open discussion. And you can text us at 623-1330. You can also call us at that same number, 623-1330.
Please do.
We
like it a lot.
Yeah, we like it when people are in on the conversation.
I like talking to people. Last night, I got to talk to some people who are loyal listeners. They keep coming up and talk to me. If you're out, see us in public, come talk to us. We love talking to you guys. We love hearing from you guys, getting feedback from you guys. So please do. Text us now. If you see us in person, come say hello.
And one thing is, what will it take for Willie Taggart to keep his job? Because, I'm not a Florida State fan. If you know me, you know I'm not. I have family that are Florida State fans. I've been to a handful of games at Doak Campbell Stadium, mostly for Florida games, but I have been to Florida State games when Florida hasn't been involved. What will it take? And let me get your opinion. What will it take for Willie Taggart to keep his job? One, they need to win today.
Yes.
They absolutely need to win today. Because let's look at the rest of their schedule. They're at home, and they are favored, and I think they should be favored. If they were able to hold on in the second half, if they were to, just not disappear, Boise State should have been a win. They had a big lead over Boise State, but they disappeared in the second half, and they lost that game. They did beat UL Monroe, although they could have easily lost that one. Virginia, I'll go ahead and say that was probably going to be an outright loss, although Florida State, they made a big push to try and win that ball game. They still outright lost to Virginia. They did manage to beat Louisville. What will it take for them to not fire Willie Taggart and to give him one more chance? Because if you think about it, I've looked at Willie Taggart's previous record with other teams. He came from Western Kentucky.
Yep.
He started slow. I think he maybe won 3 games in his first season, but he ended up winning more and more games and made Western Kentucky an okay team. And as a matter of fact, I think their quarterback for that team at that time, he's now in the NFL as a backup somewhere, but he's in the NFL now. He then goes to South Florida. He did fairly well at South Florida, but again, his first season was not as strong as his other seasons, but he played better, or coached better, I should say, and made his teams better for that. For all intents and purposes, they were better teams. And then he goes to Oregon. He actually did really well at Oregon, I thought. And he had Justin Herbert as his quarterback, a younger Justin Herbert, who got hurt. And they lost some games as a result of that. But when he came back, they won. And Oregon was a good-looking team. It was enough for Florida State, who was making a coaching change because Jimbo Fisher was out. It was in just bad fashion, by the way. In just bad fashion, he was out. They needed a new coach. And one of the hottest coaches at the time was Willie Taggart. You bring in Willie Taggart now. He doesn't have a very good first season. But also, you could ask someone who lives in Tallahassee, who knows that program better than I do, better than probably most people do. They can tell you that Jimbo Fisher really left that team in a bad place.
Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher left that team with a sour taste in their mouth. It wasn't very good in Tallahassee at that time.
No, sir.
And I have family that lives in Tallahassee. My grandparents, they've since passed on, but they lived in Tallahassee, so I've spent a lot of time in Tallahassee. I've actually spent more, although I'm a Gator fan, and we had season tickets to Florida games. I've spent more time in Tallahassee than I've spent in Gainesville. And when you have family there, that's what's going to happen. They can tell you that there were things going on there that maybe weren't being reported, that I don't know enough to go into detail about. Like, Jimbo Fisher left Florida State in a bad spot to where you had to give Taggart a year to let's let this go and let's see what develops. I have seen improvement out of Florida State. I have seen improvement. Now, second half wise, no.
Yeah.
It has not looked good on offense and defense. Now, he says that hydration has been a part of this. He felt that they weren't properly hydrated to take on Boise State. Well, yeah, then, Coach, I would say that's your fault. Why wasn't your team hydrated? Strength and conditioning coaches. Why wasn't your team conditioned for this game? There were players that even said, yeah, I agree, we were not properly prepared for this game. Why? You know when the game is supposed to be played. You live in Florida. The game was supposed to be in Tallahassee, or in Jacksonville, but it got moved to Tallahassee due to the impact of Hurricane Dorian. You're going to play in Florida regardless. Okay, Jacksonville is pretty hot, just like Tallahassee is. It's going to be a hot one. Why wasn't your team ready? So I'm putting that on the coaching staff. If that is the excuse that you do want to use, then that makes you look pretty bad, I would say. There are games that this team is a better team, I think, than we're giving them credit for. But I also understand why Florida State fans are impatient. This is a premier team. Florida State is a premier team that expects to win ball games. Because after NC State, you have Clemson. That's a loss. I'm going to go ahead and write that off as a loss. Because also, Clemson hasn't really played anybody yet this year. Yeah, Texas A&M, whatever. They haven't really played anybody yet this year. The only thing I'm looking at for Florida State against Clemson is how are they going to handle them? Is it going to be an outright blowout like it was last year? It's in Clemson. I expect it to be that way. Or are they going to have some kind of fight with them? Are they going to have some sort of fight with them? We'll see. We will see. I don't expect to win against Clemson. I expect to win against Wake Forest. Syracuse can be up in the air. They have Miami at home, which, by the way, I think that can be a win for Florida State against Miami at home. You have Boston College. You have Alabama State, but then you have Florida. I would expect them to beat them.
Talked to some FSU fans, and they're questioning, I don't even know if we're going to beat Boston College. I'm looking at Wake Forest.
They did last year. I remember that.
Yes.
That was one of their few wins last year.
Very few. Boston College should be a given. I hope. But it's tough. It's tough.
So Florida State is in a position where they can win ball games. Mm-hmm. And I think, as long as they are bowl eligible, if they can be bowl eligible by the time if they beat Boston College and that's what makes them bowl eligible, I think Willie Taggart has earned himself another year.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I think the general Florida State fan may say, Davis, you're crazy.
You're crazy, Davis.
You are crazy,
I'm
and you're
not a Florida
terrible
State
at your
fan.
job. Look, I also believe that you have to have some sort of due process for a coach. Okay? I understand that you're Florida State and that you expect to win. You expect to be in contention for the ACC. You expect to compete for a playoff spot or at least a New Year's Six bowl game. You expect to be in a winning position. But I'm also saying this. A lot of the best coaches out there, they had to have a year or two to get their team where they wanted to be. They had to they had to lose ball games in order to win ball games, right? They had to have an offseason to recruit the players that they want for their system. I believe in a process. Now, granted, I am not an athletic director. Also, I'm a Florida fan where we've certainly had our rough years where I was willing to give Muschamp a couple of years, but then I was on that train of get him out of here, get him out of here. Jim McElwain was just an absolute that was just a mess. Wow, what a mess that was.
I mean,
it turned out okay, but wow, it really went south very, very quickly.
Well, I mean, it started out okay. We had 10-win season and a 9-win season, then a 4-win.
Like we looked good. We had some bad wins, I would say, where we should have blown them out, but we ended up looking a lot worse. Starkle for Arkansas out. So yeah, quick update on a game. Texas A&M Arkansas. Texas A&M is winning 14-10 right now. The game is being played in Jerry's World. This is a rival. Good rival.
I'm pretty sure that's the quarterback that ripped up the Justin Bieber jersey, right? I'm pretty sure Nick Starkle, right?
Maybe. Actually, I'm not really sure.
It was like one of his most prized possessions.
So if there's,
that was random.
I think that Willie Taggart can keep his job. And Justin, I want you to get your opinion on this. I think Willie Taggart can keep his job this season if he can win 7 games in the regular season.
I say
if he can win 7 games in the regular season, I think that Florida State will keep Taggart.
He's got to win 7 games plus the bowl game.
Okay, so yeah, if you have 7 wins going, and I think they'll lose to Florida. If you have 7 wins going into your bowl game, don't expect it to be a great bowl game.
Marshall,
and if you lose,
that'd be a great bowl game. Marshall versus Florida State.
If you lose your bowl game, it also depends on who's available. Who's the hottest coach right now that's available? That's another thing. Because Florida State's that team that can go out and get a big coach. Who is available? That is another question.
Well,
who can you go out and hire?
Here's the thing. I say. They're going to end up taking the Florida route. They go to try and find a group of 5 coach find. You know, that all these other schools have tried. Florida tried to do it with Jim McElwain. It didn't go very well. I say that Florida State tries to do that because there's nothing much that they can really else go for that's really a good fit for them right now. So I say they're trying the group of 5 route and go try and get a coach from there.
Well, Florida also hired Jim McElwain away from Colorado State, which he did well at Colorado State. And he also was the offensive coordinator at Alabama, won a national championship at Alabama. Florida is a team that has had good defense, but we've needed to improve our offense badly. So McElwain was sort of the shoo-in because Mullen was fully committed to staying at Mississippi State.
Yes.
But something about this past offseason said, okay, I think we can go get Dan Mullen now. I think Dan Mullen had 7 years of experience at Mississippi State.
Yeah, he's been there for a while.
I think it was the right time to try and get him away from Mississippi State and have him come back to Florida. Because keeping in mind, he won 2 national championships as an offensive coordinator for Florida. This was the right time to bring him back to Florida. And it worked. We managed to bring him back. He seemed fully committed. First year, we win the Peach Bowl. Florida wins the Peach Bowl. And right now, Florida, against Towson, looking to go a 5-0, going back to Gainesville to take Auburn. And they haven't beaten Auburn in a very long time. It's been, at least in my head, it has been about 15 years or so since Florida has beaten Auburn. Now, they don't play Auburn every year.
We play them every 6 years?
Every 5 years, I believe. Or then there was 06 and 07 where we played a home-and-home series. Because my dad had gotten tickets to the game in Auburn, and that was the one game that Florida lost. They went on to win the national championship that year, but that was the one game that they lost. And then in 2007, with Tebow's first year, they lost at home to a game-winning field goal. This game has been a tough game for Florida, but we'll see going in the next week. Auburn going into Gainesville with a fairly experienced yet young team out of their starting quarterback, Bo Nix. Next week should be a fun one, and I'm hoping that Auburn does beat Mississippi State. That's a game where I'm going to watch that and be like, okay, Auburn, let's see if you can pull this one. I think Auburn should be able to win this ball game against Mississippi State, but you never know.
Now, I want to ask you this. Imagine what it would have been like if we had this really just popped in my head. The greatest Auburn players and greatest Florida players for each of their positions, like the Hall of Fame of the list. Who do you think would come in on top? Like, who's been the greater program?
Who's been a better program?
Because, look, you have, what? On the Auburn side, you have, what? Cam Newton, Bo Jackson. Then you got Florida, you got Tim Tebow.
So
Emmitt Smith.
That's a good question because both of them have so Florida has 3 national championships. So if you're going to go based on national championships, I think you have to go Florida. Auburn has 2. They've had more success than Florida as of late.
Later, they have.
Because, Auburn has they've won a national championship. They've been to another one since. They have competed in big bowl games. That's a good question. Historically,
no, if you want to give your opinion on the take, who's had the better program of all-time grades, Auburn or Florida, call into the studio line 850-623-1330 or Texas, same thing, 850-623-1330.
And of course, we're going to be talking more about this game next week because that's when the game will be happening. Florida is taking on Towson. That should be a walkover for them, but it's a tune-up game for a big one. Next week. So we're going to talk about more of that next week. We're going to continue to focus on what's going on this week. Also, we have the NFL going on. Of course, it's Saturday. We talk a lot about college football, but of course the NFL is going on, and I was doing an elimination bracket for the Gullikin Wingo. You probably heard that promo running. I have officially lost my first game.
Really? Who'd you pick?
Oh, man, last week was a bad one. In fact, I'll talk about it after this break. You're listening to Sports Call with Davis and Justin on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this, and as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today.
Pensacola Beach isn't just a sun-soaked white sand paradise. It's also the best dance floor in 50 states. Every Tuesday night, the stage near the beach ball comes alive with great music you know and love. Bands on the Beach are free shows every Tuesday through October, and they're brought to you by the Santa Rosa Island Authority. This Tuesday,
it's the Knee Deep Band. They've been in business for the last 20 years, and they play classic rock and reggae, blues, funk, pop, oldies, and Motown.
Join us for live music every Tuesday night at 7 for Bands on the Beach.
ESPN Pensacola is your home for UWF Argos football. Catch every game, home or away, on Pensacola's home for local sports. Next week, Delta State comes to Pensacola to take on the UWF Argos. Pre-game starts at 5:30, kickoff at 6. Hear all the play-by-play action right here on your home for Argos football and local sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330, FM 99.1. UWF football is presented in part by Summer Vista Assisted Living.
My favorite thing about music is it's reliable. It's always there.
It just helps me cheer up other people.
There's nothing to worry about when you do music. You're just having fun.
When I'm playing it, I'm like, wow, this is me.
And the sound just increases around you, and you just become immersed in it. You become one with it.
When you play music, you are playing life.
Whatever music means to you, just play.
Brought to you by the NAM Foundation.
The Paul Feinbaum Show.
Everything you wanted to happen hasn't happened.
Oh my gosh, that's all any of y'all want to talk about is Alabama.
You're really not understanding the conversation, but anyway, we can move on.
Bama's done dynasty has just begun.
Hold on a second, Charles. Somebody wants to talk to you.
I don't want to talk that compelling moron. He's nothing but a lame-headed old man.
2 till 5 every weekday afternoon. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're out of your freaking mind, cowturd.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
A little bit of NFL going on here, but first we had to just enjoy a little bit of Jet. Are you gonna be my girl? This is Sports Call with Davis and Justin. Happy Saturday to everybody, man. I'm in a Saturday mood.
Yeah, it's definitely a Saturday mood. We had a long week here at the office, and it was great accomplishments. We had some this week, big week for us, and
yeah, big week for you, man.
Yeah,
hey, everybody. Justin Patrick was our part-time employee of the month here at our office. So we are known as ADX Communications. And also, Tommy Thrall, how could I forget? Tommy Thrall worked for us for a little bit at one point before me. He predates me, but he worked for Cat Country 98.7. And then he started doing the gigs with the Blue Wahoos and UWF. So he had since moved on. But Tommy Thrall had worked for us. But we are consisted of ESPN Pensacola, News Radio 92.3, and if you love your country music, and this is definitely, I would say, the most popular out of the three, Cat Country 98.7. So out of all the people that we could pick from, Justin has shown so much growth, so much work. He does a really good job. Even called a football game by himself yesterday because Joe Ford was out of town. So Justin, he filled in for him. They really did a good job. He was honored as our part-time employee of the month. So, Justin, I do want to give you that accolade and that announcement. Everyone needs to know the big news.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a long time coming, and this was a big month for me. From being promoted to co-host, starting color commentary, and then it was just a big month in general for the ESPN Pensacola as a whole, for me. And I couldn't be more happy because we had some great success. We've done a lot in the past year, and I couldn't be more happy.
And, of course, still young in your career, got a lot to learn. No way you need to be complacent. I'm sure not. So the NFL going on. We had a really good Thursday night matchup, Philadelphia Eagles, Green Bay Packers. Game was played in Green Bay, and this was a game where I was gung-ho Green Bay. I'm thinking coming into this game, they're 3-0. Philadelphia, they're 1-2. They had two really tough losses. For like a combined 7 points. I just thought Green Bay was the hotter hand in this ball game. In Philadelphia, Super Bowl champs not too long ago, Carson Wentz signing a mega contract over the offseason. They even move out Nick Foles to solidify that, Carson Wentz is our guy at quarterback, and yet two really tough losses in a row. What is this going to mean for Philadelphia? Well, they rebounded in a really good way, and they had to fight off a tough Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers balled out in this ball game, and a tough interception in the end zone as the game was ending. A tip ball that led to an interception in the end zone. The Philadelphia Eagles managed to hang on in Green Bay on Thursday Night Football, winning 34-27. It was a tough one for sure for the Packers, who did suffer their first loss of the year. But I want to say this about Aaron Rodgers. He could have a bad game. He could have a bad game overall. But if you give him the ball when the Packers need to score with time winding down, he is going to score a touchdown. He is the most clutch quarterback, I think, in the NFL. He also, the two touchdown passes that he did have, unbelievable passes, especially the second one where he was like falling back on his back leg, and he still makes a perfect throw to the receiver for a touchdown in the end zone. I think that Aaron Rodgers, if there's one quarterback I want in the game, if my team is down by 4, we can't kick a field goal. We have to score a touchdown, and he has 50 seconds to go, and he has to march 70 yards down the field. I think Aaron Rodgers is that quarterback that you always want in that position.
No.
Oh, absolutely.
We have some argument now. Wow.
Good.
No, Tom Brady, man. Look at this guy. He has done this on numerous occasions where he could do this in clutch big games, too, and playoffs games and big regular season games. I think Tom Brady is the guy you go to. I am a Pats fan, don't get me wrong, but Tom Brady is that guy. Drew Brees is another great one, but I don't think his completion rate or success rate during these times is as great as Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. I really think Tom Brady is probably a lot better just because of the big games he's done it in.
You know, and I like that you brought up Tom Brady because, yes, Tom Brady, especially postseason, greatest quarterback to ever live. Regular season, same thing. I think Tom Brady, hands down, is the greatest quarterback to ever live. And some people, you can argue that, yeah, like he's always had a good team and he's been with the same coach and he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but the other argument has always been Aaron Rodgers when it comes to him just being a quarterback. Put everything else aside. Put the talent that he had aside. They both have Super Bowls, but obviously, come on, Tom Brady has 6. But they both do have Super Bowls. People have said that Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback. I'm not believing that firmly, but I'm talking about situations where your team is down and they have to score a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers is your guy. Now, in the postseason, I can name at least 3 occasions, and I'm only thinking of these 3 because they've been field goal opportunities. In these 3 occasions, Tom Brady has led his team down the field, but Adam Vinatieri kicked the game-winning field goal, or tying field goal, depending on the situation. You have the Division Series game in 2001, the Tuck Rule game, where Adam Vinatieri kicked the tying field goal, then he kicked the game-winning field goal. And hey, credit to Tom Brady. He marched them down the field. Then you have the first Super Bowl that he won, where he marched them down the field. He made a couple of really good passes that he led them down the field, but then it came down to an Adam Vinatieri field goal.
Okay.
And then you go back. Hold on. Then you go back to the second Super Bowl that Tom Brady won against the Carolina Panthers. He marched them down the field, and then it was a field goal that had to win them the ball game. I'm saying that Aaron Rodgers, if you need to score a touchdown, and you're down and it's winding down, Aaron Rodgers has been that quarterback that has thrown the passes that scored them a touchdown.
Okay, but here's the thing. What? So you're saying you're putting Brady at fault here because they were within a field goal range of scoring. You're putting him at fault because they had too many points and were too close to the other team's lead. So that's what you're putting him at fault for. That. Why? I mean, come on.
I'm not faulting him. When am I sitting here saying I'm faulting?
But here's the thing. If they don't need the touchdown, they're not going to risk it. They're going to get as close as they can to that field goal and close in Adam Vinatieri's range. They don't need the touchdown. They're not going to go for it. They're going to let the time wind out because they don't need it. I mean, they're within field goal range and within 3 points. So why not just go for the field goal? Especially with Adam Vinatieri as your kicker. Come on, but Aaron Rodgers. Now, don't get me wrong. He's had some pretty great drives. I mean, you can't. Tom Brady. Look at what he did. In Super Bowl 51. 28-point comeback.
Yep, 28 beat the Falcons. Which, if you're a Falcons fan out there, you probably are changing the station right now, but that's okay.
Yep, and I just gotta go with Brady on this one because it's been too many times I've seen him do it. I was watching something the other day. I completely forget. It was a Patriots drive. It took Brady about 3 plays. He was down it took him 3 plays just to get and score a touchdown. He did it so quickly, so swift, like it was nothing. I was just like, he really just did that. It was the easiest thing in the world. I think it's a great defense too. And that's the type of guy Brady is because he can pick apart defenses. And Aaron Rodgers can too. I just think Brady, he has a little bit more control in those situations. And I think if you're on the defensive side of things, who would you rather face, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers in that situation? I think they'd rather face Aaron Rodgers because I feel like you can make Aaron Rodgers force a mistake more. Tom Brady, it's hard to make him force a mistake in those situations.
And you know what? And I say this, if you need to score a touchdown, hey, prime example is Thursday night. He ended up throwing an interception. Granted, a tip pass, but it was an interception. In the end of the day, they did go on to lose. He did not score the touchdown that he was supposed to score. Now, I will give you that Tom Brady historically is always going to go down as one of the clutchest quarterbacks to ever play. He is going to go down as probably the greatest quarterback to ever play. And I know this guy's still young, but Patrick Mahomes is currently the guy that I compare him closer to Aaron Rodgers more than I do Tom Brady, just based on the kind of athlete. But really, Patrick Mahomes has kind of been in his own level. So when it comes to the young guy, I cannot wait to see what Patrick Mahomes can do to this league, what kind of impact he will have. Will he be essentially the next Tom Brady? I'm not going to go that far yet because I'm having a tough time believing that quarterback will ever exist again. It probably will, but for right now, it's hard to believe. And I want to say that it would be a good Super Bowl between the Packers and the Patriots because you have two of some of the better quarterbacks to ever play to face off against each other. But at the same time, I don't want to see the Patriots in the Super Bowl again. And I don't know how many people do, except Chad Brilliante, who is our in-house Patriots fan. Why are you raising your hand? Are you a Patriots fan?
Because Troy Brown, all right, you know I'm from Marshall. All right, come on. Troy Brown.
You're from West Virginia.
Yeah, Huntington, West Virginia. That's the home of the Marshall Thundering Herd.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
Yeah. Yes, I knew that. I've seen We Are Marshall.
Yes, that's where it's from. You know who comes from there? Yeah, Troy Brown. Got drafted by the Patriots. Won 3 Super Bowls. My dad's good friends with Troy Brown. Randy Moss also played there. Aaron Dobson also played there. A lot of Marshall players have played for the New England Patriots, and that's why we are big fans of them.
Except Randy Moss did not win a Super Bowl for the Patriots. He was a part of that undefeated team, though, during the regular season. And then, oh no, did I trigger Justin? And he did
record season.
And if he didn't mess up at Florida State, he probably would have never been back in the state of West Virginia. He's from Rand, West Virginia. You know,
But you know what? He broke records at Marshall. You know, he did a lot of great things at Marshall.
They won a D1 2A.
D2.
Was it D2? They won a national championship. Chad Pennington was the quarterback.
Pennington. That's probably one of the greatest college duos ever, right there. Chad Pennington and Randy Moss.
I will say Marshall at their level is probably the best team to ever play at their level.
Yeah.
Because then they went to D1 the next year, and they competed.
Oh, they were still great.
They were still great.
Still going undefeated because we had Chad Pennington and Randy Moss. That's a tough duo right there. Like that duo can compete in Power 5 school.
Chad Pennington, by the way, is part of the Brady Six.
Yes.
One of the 6 quarterbacks drafted before Tom Brady. He went first round in the 2000 draft.
And also, I just want to put this out. The 2 times that Tom Brady did not win the AFC East, it was the Dolphins won it one year, and the Jets won it one year. Chad Pennington was the quarterback both those times.
Hey, I am not disrespecting Chad Pennington. He was a good quarterback, a 10th overall draft pick.
My dad used to play golf with him, actually.
So, yes, he is our Marshall fan here. He's from West Virginia, from Huntington, West Virginia. But Thursday Night Football, to go ahead and wrap up the conversation, Thursday Night Football, I was just happy to see a decent game because really Thursday night and Monday Night Football has typically been lame. So I was happy to at least see a good game. I stayed up for as much of it as I could possibly stay up, but then I had to go to bed. I was exhausted. But we do have a whole bunch of games tomorrow. And, of course, I'm going to let Chad Brilliante, and you're going to be out there as well. Y'all are going to be talking about some NFL football tomorrow at the NFL Tailgate Show at World of Beer. That's going to be happening from 10 to noon, again, at World of Beer. So if that's what I love that place. So if you
place is awesome.
If you guys want to go in and not only listen to Chad or watch Chad, but and go enjoy some football and drink some good beer, and there's definitely a lot of beer at World of Beer.
I wouldn't know. But look, all right, so I tried the brunch menu last week. The Todd, I don't know if you've ever seen it. The Todd, so it has hash browns on the side, and then it's a sandwich. So it's French toast as the bread, and they have egg, bacon, and chicken, and then syrup on it. I had that. Oh my gosh,
that sounds awesome.
It was incredible. And the brunch menu there is absolutely insane. It was such a hard decision for me. I was very happy with the decision of the Todd. Joey, our Pops out there at the World of Beer, they're all very nice to us, me and Chad, and I love the atmosphere there. I have all the games for you. They have the NFL Sunday ticket. Definitely come out and say hey to us tomorrow and watch your favorite team play and drink some beer. Why not?
Yeah, it'll be a fun time. So you can check those guys out tomorrow from 10 to noon. It's the NFL pregame show, tailgate show. So they're going to be talking about all the NFL games, but we certainly wanted to recap the game that happened on Thursday night. And hey, we even got an argument out of it. That's what radio is all about. All right. If you want to be a part of the conversation, 623-1330. When we return from this break, we're going to give you our winners and our losers. Oh, and trust me, I got a loser for you. That's all coming up on Sports Call with Davis and Justin on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns. And that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
Hey sports fans, we know that we all fumble now and then when we're headed for the end zone, and our vehicles are no exception. Next time your bad ride is a little off sides, take it to Amco Transmission, your total car care facility. And with no interest financing, even with less than perfect credit, you'll drive away feeling as if you caught the winning touchdown. You always make the right play when you take your vehicle to Amco Transmission on Davis Highway, just south of Airport Boulevard. Visit them on Facebook or call 800-GO-AMCO. AA-MCO.
The 2019 Wreaths of Joy Gala benefiting the Art Gateway is fast approaching. This year, the event will be held on December 5th at the Pensacola Bay Center. Businesses, organizations, and individuals will gather to enjoy dinner, entertainment, auctions, and more. 9 sponsorship levels are available with proceeds benefiting children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities in our community. For more information, visit their website, arc-gateway.org. We see the ability, not the disability.
I just finished updating my bath with Bath Fitter. Best decision ever. 35 years experience, Bath Fitter knows their stuff. I custom designed the luxury bath I wanted. The color, the style, thousands of options. Luxury hotel quality. Bath Fitter Pensacola did the rest. Installed my bath in less than a day, no demo, no mess, and it's under a lifetime warranty. I love my new bath. Visit bathfitter.com today to book your free in-home consultation and join over 2 million satisfied customers or call 429-1777.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station, your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Sipping on straight glory, let the vibe slide over me. This beat is a chemical.
1237 Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
Sorry, I was jamming out there. It's a good
Yeah,
song.
he loves this song.
I've always loved this song. 21 Pilots. I saw them in concert in New Orleans. It was a great concert, and it's one of the newer songs, Chlorine. I've always liked it by them.
I like this group. I like the rendition they did of Can't Help Falling in Love with You.
Okay, yeah.
It's like they had like a
Yeah.
ukulele, and they were just walking around the streets of New York, and they were singing that song.
He's an incredible ukulele player. He does so many songs with his ukulele. He's a master of a lot of instruments, and they're a really unique band. Just two people. They're two people, and they make a really great song.
And, of course, we were talking about baseball earlier in the show. I know it's college football season. We've been talking a lot about college football as of late, but with the playoff season, with playoff baseball starting on Monday with Tampa Bay and Oakland, we, of course, want to get you all the baseball info because we're both baseball fans. We both played baseball in high school. We grew up playing baseball. I am from St. Petersburg, so we had season tickets to the Rays games. I've been to the playoffs. I've been to the World Series. I was at Game 7 of the ALCS when the Rays beat Boston. That was the first time I ever cried over a baseball game in a positive manner. And I went to Game 2 of the World Series where I got there and I was standing on at my seat. And I'll never forget it. Section 103, row double D, seats 1 and 2. Those were our seats. And I was sitting at my seat, seat 1, and I just was looking around, and I was thinking, am I really here? Last year, we were in dead last. Every year, we've been dead last. And I am sitting here at Tropicana Field at the World Series, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. That was one of the most surreal moments of my life. And that is why I transitioned to my winner. We're going to do winners and losers. My winner is not just all of baseball for the really cool and entertaining year that has been this year, but the Tampa Bay Rays. I know I'm being a homer. I'm not being. If I wasn't a Rays fan, this probably wouldn't be my winner. But I'm going to give it to the Tampa Bay Rays with 96 wins on the year, and Cleveland managing to stay behind us and really just they were fighting to try and take that second spot in the AL wild card. The Tampa Bay Rays won the games when it mattered the most, and Oakland did the same exact thing. In Cleveland, they ended up losing last 3 straight, and Tampa won the last 3 straight, and we are going to the playoffs. We're going to be taking on Oakland at 7 o'clock. Actually, I think it's at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be extremely tired on Monday. I wake up at 4 a.m. Monday through Friday. I'm going to be tired on Tuesday, I should say, because the game is on Monday, because I'm staying up to watch every pitch of this game, assuming that it's going to be a close game, or the Rays, maybe, hopefully, goes in our direction. So the Rays are my winners because we have one of the lowest payrolls in all of baseball.
Yep.
And
That is very true.
also, and it pains me, we have one of the lowest attendances in baseball. We are a 96-win team, and yet our fans just can't show up to the games. And it was like that when I lived there. When we made it to the playoffs, of course, that changed. There was so much hype around the Rays because for the first time ever, we were finally a winning team, and there was so much hype around the Rays, and people were investing into it. And now we jump forward 11 years later, and we're talking about how we might be splitting our season with Montreal, who was also hungry for baseball after they lost their team. So, despite all of that, still win 96 wins. We have 2 more games to go, by the way. To win 96 games, win the second spot in the wild card, eliminate the Indians, and now be back in the postseason since 2013. My hat's off to my team, the Tampa Bay Rays. They are my winners. Now, as for my losers, this team would have been my winners a couple of weeks ago, but today they are my losers, the University of Maryland.
Ooh.
The University of Maryland are my losers, and here is why, folks. You start the year, and now Howard, blowing out Howard 73-0, that's not exactly going to make me think, oh, man,
Really?
this
I
team
thought they were
this team is
national
incredible. This team right here, they are they're looking to be a national champ team or a top 4 team. No, I wasn't thinking that after Howard. But, dude, I was thinking that they were going to be a team to be reckoned with in the Big Ten. I thought that this was going to be a team that was really going to take it to Ohio State, take it to Michigan, which anyone can take it to Michigan, it seems like nowadays, although Michigan is winning 24-0 right now. I thought Maryland was really just going to just take it to these teams, and they were going to be a good team. And now they end up getting upset by Temple. They lose to Temple. They score, what 13 points against Temple. And then they lose Temple. And then they yesterday, by the way, they played yesterday. Yesterday they took on Penn State. Let me just prepare you guys for this one. It wasn't pretty. Yesterday they took on Penn State. Not only were they shut out, but they were just straight up embarrassed, 59-0 at home.
To
Penn State. They were demolished. Which, by the way, Penn State, good team.
Number 12 team in the nation.
Hey, James Franklin, great coach, still undefeated. Great coach. Oh, Penn State did struggle against Pitt, but Pitt is a place where people go to die. Just talk to UCF. Talk to UCF,
Dang.
I tell you. And Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel, by the way, he is like the combination of Mackenzie Milton and Tua Tagovailoa, both Hawaiian quarterbacks. Dylan Gabriel Gabriel Dylan. Which one is it? Dylan Gabriel. He's a lefty, but he also has like the legs that Mackenzie Milton has. He was under-recruited just like Mackenzie Milton. Ends up at the Hawaiian pipeline for quarterbacks is incredible. But Maryland gets blown out by Penn State. After Maryland, their first 2 games of the season, blows out these other teams, including Syracuse. So you're thinking, oh man, Maryland, keep an eye on this team. They have Mike Loxley as their coach, who was the offensive coordinator at Alabama. He overall hasn't had the best record as a head coach, but you're thinking based on what he learned at Alabama, he can now be a good head coach for Maryland. They lose to Temple. They have a bye week, and then they get blown out by Penn State. Maryland, you're my losers, man. I'm only saying you're my losers because I bought into you. You tricked me, man. Oh, watch it.
Okay.
If you're watching the Facebook stream, you would have seen that Justin almost ate it. But dude, I'm upset with Maryland because it's just like Miami. I bought into Miami 2 years ago, and then they lose to Pitt at the end of the season when they were the number 2 ranked team in the nation. And then Maryland, it just took 2 games for me to buy into you. And now I am embarrassed. I bought into you. And then you lose to Temple, and then you get at home blown out. 59-0 to Penn State.
Yeah, that's
Maryland,
bad.
you're my losers.
That's really bad. Oh, wow. I'm going to start off my loser just because after that chair incident, I was thinking of my winner, and I kind of forgot where it was. So I'm going to start with my loser. My loser's going to go to the Pac-12. And I have, for a lot of reasons, why. In the Pac-12, everyone's asking, when's the Pac-12 going to be back in the playoffs? Is this the year we see them back in the playoffs? No, it's not. Because here's why. The Pac-12 can't stay consistent. Their top team always goes down every other week. One of their top teams just goes down. You know, last night, number 15 Cal goes down to Arizona State. A couple weeks ago, Washington, they were ranked top 20. They go down to Cal. Then we got last week, Washington State, number 19 in the nation, undefeated. They go down to 0-3 UCLA. Now UCLA showed us a different team, but this is an every year thing with the Pac-12, and I don't see any sign of it changing anytime soon because this is every year that when someone's hot in the Pac-12, they go down to a team that's not, and that's just how it is in the Pac-12 until someone comes into the Pac-12 like Urban Meyer. Sorry, I don't know I just had a cough there. Yeah, Urban Meyer until he shows up at USC. I don't see a change happening of someone going undefeated or staying consistent there. That's the Pac-12. You're my loser because this is an every year thing, and you won't be back in the playoffs until it's fixed. That's just all I have to say on that situation. My winner is going to go to Tommy Thrall. Just seeing that he came from here, and he's now doing the big thing. He's filling it for Marty Brennan over at Cincinnati Red.
Taking over his job.
Yeah, he's taking over his job. Those are pretty big shoes to fill, and we couldn't be any more proud of you coming from here and now being there. My dad, huge fan of Marty Brennan. You know, listen, he's been doing Reds baseball almost as old as my mom is. You know, like that's how long he's been doing it. So they've listened to him their entire life of living in West Virginia. We listen to him all the time on the radio, and just now knowing that it's Tommy Thrall that's taking over, he's from here now, couldn't be any more proud. And yep.
And certainly I do share with you, if I could have a runner-up for my winner, of course, Tommy Thrall, you're always going to be a winner for us. You know, former employee here at the company, a guy who is the former voice of the Blue Wahoos, the Argos basketball. He was the city broadcaster, Tommy Thrall was. And we couldn't be more he called high school football games as well with Chad Brillante. We couldn't be more proud of you, and of course I do share. I have my winner. That's your winner. But I think overall he is ESPN Pensacola's winner. So with that, we have games to predict. Big ones that are be going on later on tonight, especially Ohio State and Nebraska. Lee Corso gave his pick. We'll share with you his pick and what's ours going to be. We'll talk about that next on Sports Call with Davis and Justin on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Football and falling clearance prices. It's here at Pensacola Honda with these great deals. Get a Honda 2019 HRV all-wheel drive LX CVT for only $249 a month. You own it. Or how about a 2019 Honda Accord Sedan CVT LX for $111 a month? 36-month lease, only $39.99 down. See dealer for details. Rates as low as 1.9% APR on select models. Pensacola Honda and online at PensacolaHonda.com. Home of the one price, low price guarantee.
Getting out of the military, I was missing this camaraderie.
It's frustrating when you try and talk to people that don't understand.
I still had the anger, I still had the addictions, but we didn't talk about that.
Came to a point where it's like, okay, I really need to talk to somebody about this.
Family more or less encouraged me, go to the VA.
It's okay to go get help. It's okay to talk to people because it takes true strength to ask for help.
Hear veterans' real stories of strength and recovery at MakeTheConnection.net.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big, flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom. Oh, dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, you want to see a Broadway show, but New York City just isn't in the cards.
Broadway's coming to you. Get your tickets now for the 2019-2020 Broadway season at the Sanger Theater. See amazing Broadway touring shows like Jersey Boys, Cats, The Color Purple, Beautiful, An American in Paris, and Waitress for a third of the cost you would pay on Broadway. See actual Broadway shows right here in downtown Pensacola. Get all the details at PensacolaSanger.com.
Coming up Monday, recapping Cowboys Saints and all of the Week 4 action, plus taking a look ahead to Week 4's finale on Monday night. Also, the baseball postseason is here. All that and who won the weekend. Rolling Week on Monday, 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN2.
ESPN Pensacola is now on 1330 FM 99.1.
We're still doing this, right? This is actually happening. We're going to let this happen.
You can also listen anywhere. ESPNpensacola.com.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Sports Call, Davis and Justin on this Saturday. And again, I am in such a Saturday mood today. It is fantastic. But hey, lots of stuff going around the Pensacola area as well, where we have the Seafood Festival going on. So traffic update. If you're going to the Argos game, which again you can hear on this station, do not take Gulf Beach or Bayfront. Gulf Beach Highway, that takes you to Perdido or back into Pensacola, depending on the direction that you're going. But don't take Bayfront because basically from 9th Avenue through Palafox, it's closed off.
Yeah.
Or Jefferson, really. Or not even Jefferson. I think it's before Jefferson. Is closed off because of all the festivities going on with the Seafood Festival. It's one of the top 25 events in the Southeast region, and it's always well attended. And you're going to be out there later because ESPN Pensacola, we have a presence out there with our sister stations, Cat Country 98.7 and News Radio 92.3. I'll be out there after the UWF game to go to the Molly Ringwalds, so
yeah,
I'm fired up about that.
Come say hey to me. Yesterday I was out there. We're in the kids section, by the way. Next to
We're in Bartram Park.
Yeah,
Bartram Park.
Next to the stage.
It's south of the main street.
So yesterday there was no one around because the kids were all in school still. Because I was out there, it was around noon to 3.
Yeah,
so
I think I learned a little thing about scheduling that day for next year.
Yeah. We learned a lot about scheduling that next year. But yeah, come say hey to me, Justin, Patrick. I like meeting you guys. It actually makes me really happy to talk to you guys. Give me feedback because I'm still learning a lot. So if I'm getting feedback from you guys, it actually teaches me a lot. I love hearing it.
And for the most part, y'all have been amazing. Whenever people come up to me to talk to me about either ESPN or News Radio, it's always super cool getting to meet y'all. I'll be out there tomorrow. I was out there yesterday as well. I'll be out there tomorrow because today I'm going to be doing some dog sitting and UWF football, which you'll be joining me eventually for that. So anyways, speaking of football, we're going to be giving our predictions now. This is the part of the show where we're going to be closing it up. We're going to be moving on, watching football, moving on with our lives, just like y'all are. But first, let's go ahead and get down to some of these predictions. So we have some games going on right now. Let me give a quick update on some of these games that are going on. The blowouts are Iowa over Middle Tennessee State. That's 24-0 in the third quarter. Michigan is taking it to Rutgers, 31-0. And of course, we mentioned the blowout. That's why Maryland's my loser. The blowout of Penn State, 59-0 over Maryland. So game going on right now. Wisconsin Northwestern, 7-3. Wisconsin. They scored early, but now that Wisconsin has the ball, Wisconsin has the ball. Who do you got finishing this one off?
Wisconsin.
I have Wisconsin. It is in the third quarter. 7-3, a tight one.
But
I do have Wisconsin winning this one.
I'm a huge fan of Northwestern. I just don't know if they can stop Jonathan Taylor. That's all. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen. Everyone doubts him, but no, I wouldn't be surprised. All right, 21-17, Texas A&M, Arkansas. Who you got coming out on top?
21-17, Texas A&M is winning.
Yes.
I have Texas A&M winning this ball game.
Okay.
I think they'll rebound. That was a tough loss against Auburn at home. That was one where I was predicting Texas A&M to win that ball game. I thought that they were going to play better. I thought that they were going to play a better game. It was 28-20 the final score. It seems close on paper, but if you watch the game, you would know that Auburn handled that game most of the game. I think that Texas A&M is going to hold on. They'll rebound well, and they will beat Arkansas. And Arkansas is now missing their starting quarterback.
All right. USC at Washington. Number 21 USC, number 17 Washington.
I like Washington in this ball game. The quarterback matchup, this is Matt Fink's first career start. He threw 3 touchdowns and over 351 yards, I think, in his first game. He was in the transfer portal, no longer anymore. He's the starting quarterback. Keaton Slayton, he was the quarterback, true freshman quarterback for USC. He goes down with an injury. I think he's in concussion protocol. So this is Matt Fink's team for right now. We'll see where he can go with this. But I do like Jacob Eason in Washington in this ball game.
Yeah, I like Washington in this ball game as well. All right, keep it on Pac-12. Washington State 3-1. Coming off a loss to UCLA. Number 19, Utah Utes, also 3-1.
I like Washington State to rebound. Tough loss. Look, you throw 9 touchdowns and you still lose the ball game. That first off, I have to sit down my defensive coordinator and talk to him and say, what is going on?
Yeah,
that is unbelievably bad, and that's embarrassing, really, for their defense to do that. They had a 32-point lead and you blew it to an winless UCLA.
Who lost like Cincinnati? Like, come on.
Just awful. And it was unfortunate because I was watching that game when Washington State was winning big, and I turned it off. I either was watching something else or I went to bed eventually. I stopped following that game.
Yeah.
And then I wake up to an alert that UCLA pulled off one of the best comebacks of all time.
And I have Washington State winning this game. Mike Leach, he's one of my favorite coaches. He's such a unique coach. I love watching him coach and doing his probably some of the best press conferences you can find in a guy. And I got Washington State coming back and bouncing back from this game. We're going to move it over to some Big 12. Kansas State at Oklahoma State.
I like Oklahoma State in this ball game. Offensively, I think they're stronger. I think Kansas State might be able to bring more of the defense, but I think Oklahoma's a stronger team. I got Oklahoma State.
True that. All right, some SEC play. Mississippi State at number 7 Auburn.
Auburn in this one. Now, it's going to be at Auburn. Auburn, they're undefeated. Bo Nix, true freshman. Mississippi State, they're a 3-1 team. I have Auburn winning. Could it be close? I think it could. But I think Auburn will win this ball game. And we won't even really mention Florida, but Florida, I think we both can agree, is going to beat Towson, obviously.
No, we don't need to talk about that.
We don't need to talk about that one, but then that's going to set up the undefeated matchup going into next week.
Auburn, it's always a great game, Mississippi State and Auburn. Last year, Auburn winning this one in Mississippi State, a much-needed win for Gus Malzahn. All right, Virginia at Notre Dame, 18 versus 10.
Virginia at Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame in this ball game. I think they really showed a lot against Georgia and Virginia. Yeah, they're a decent team, but I like Notre Dame in this one.
Yeah, so do I. I like Notre Dame a lot. All right, now we have College Game Day's pick. Ohio State, number 5, 4-0 versus Scott Frost's Nebraska Cornhuskers.
I like Ohio State in this ball game, and I think they have the ability to cover. But it's at Nebraska. They're fired up. They're 3-1 on the season. I still think that Nebraska will be a good team next season. I think this will be a much better game next season, but I like Ohio State.
Yeah, I love Ohio State. I love Justin Fields. I love Ryan Day. I say it's Ohio State.
And of course, our final game, UWF taking on Mississippi College. Who do you have?
Yep.
I have UWF. This will be an interesting one. Not at 69 points. This is going to be put on the board. But I have UWF winning this ball game. I'm going to have us winning by 10. In the meantime, you can listen to that game right here starting at 5:30. Will Kennedy in the pregame show. You've been listening to Sports Call with Davis and Justin.